Welcome to Liddypod, Beatles banter with Bedford and Beasley.
So Dave, here we are again. We're in a little place called the Bookbinder, which is on Lark Lane, just by Sefton Park. We came here last time because the breakfast was fab, and today
it's just as good as it was last time. Absolutely fabulous.
Brilliant,
French
really
toast,
good.
drizzled in maple syrup.
I had a full English breakfast, as I always do, with a nice big mushroom. It was really, really good. So here we are. We're all set. We're upstairs now at the Bookbinder. There's a little bit of noise around upstairs because there's a couple of other people. I don't know who they think they are taking our recording studio, but there we go. So Dave, when we last talked, they were just about to start filming for the Sam Mendes biopics.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's all finished, but quite a lot of it has taken place, hasn't it?
Yeah, because we've seen been outside Mendips. So I know from a friend of mine who lives around the corner on Vale Road that the roads were closed for a while, and apparently it was a day was for setting up, then a day for taking down, and a day in the middle for filming. So probably a bit more than that. But as you know, Menlove Avenue is such a busy road. That was quite a lot of disruption going down like to one lane. Some places all completely shut off at different parts as well. So the locals probably not as impressed as Beatles fans will be when they see it, but at least they're using the original location.
Absolutely. Well, this is the good thing. I mean, this is one of the great things because they were also at McCartney's, and McCartney's Road was almost completely closed off from by Paul's house. So all the residents obviously would have been contacted and probably would have been recompensed for losing their driveways and everything else. But yeah, it was great. It was really, really good. It's good to see.
Yeah.
We don't think they've completely finished, have they?
Well, they shouldn't have, because they haven't done St Peter's Church yet, which of course is the most important place then, isn't it? It's where John and Paul meet. That's in a way is where the Beatles part of the story begins. You've got the Quarrymen, been going for about 12 months, but everything changes when John and Paul meet, so that's going to be fun because that is such a busy road. You can see when the buses are trying to get up down there. There's always cars parked everywhere. Yeah,
that is really, really going to be busy. But if they've used the two houses, they've got to use St Peter's Church. It would make sense to do that, and it would be silly not to. To be honest, obviously. When these biopics come out, Dave, you and I are going to be there looking at all sorts of things in the background to see what's being done. No, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Tell us about something that you came across, Dave, regarding Mendips.
Yeah, so somebody said to me they had a bit of an issue because they realised there was an old-fashioned car parked outside Mendips. And you're thinking, old-fashioned car? Mimi and George? That does not make sense, because we know from the history that Mimi and George didn't have that much money because George had lost out so much on the dairy farm. He was a night watchman on the local estate. Mimi didn't have an income, so we know they took in lodgers, the medical students, just so they could stay in that one house. At what stage would they have had the money to buy a car? Never. Nobody connected that has ever thought they would have had a car. That was a real luxury. Very few people had cars back then. They would not have been able to afford it. But that's what the films say. Well, if you can't completely disprove it, it stays.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Really. I mean, my thinking, I'm no film expert at all, but my thinking would be if you can't prove it, then it doesn't go in, rather than the other way around. And we got that famous photograph, haven't we, of John standing at the gate of Mendips. There's no car in the background.
No.
I mean, I've not seen any photos that show evidence of. And if you think about the whole sort of social aspect of that time, that was a fairly affluent area.
Yes.
Houses were named.
Yeah.
Mendips obviously being an example.
Yeah.
But they weren't necessarily the type of people that would have automatically lived in that house in that area.
No, because I think the only person John would have known had a car was Rod Davis's family. So Rod's father had a car. So in the early days, sometimes they would have gone to a gig in the car if his dad was being kind.
So the fact that of the whole group of people, one family in that area had a car, and that was in that area.
Yes, exactly.
Which was a fairly affluent area.
Yeah.
So, it's... anyway, who are we to judge, Dave?
We've got every right to judge, and I will. But that's the problem with biopics, and that's, I think, trying not to be too cynical, but it's a great way of the Beatles telling the story in the way they want you to know it, because there's even more poetic license. You know, with the anthology, that was Beatles history as they want you to know it anyway. But to interviews, but now once you get into drama, there's an inbuilt poetic license, which says we can make stuff up, and we'll put a disclaimer at the beginning, but you'll pay no attention to it, Mr. Viewer, and we'll believe everything we say. And that's the problem with these biopics now.
Yeah, it is.
Great films,
yeah,
but
yeah, it is. I think the great thing from our point of view, Dave, as people who work in the industry, is that, you know, it's generating interest now, and when they come out, it's going to generate an amazing amount of interest in the Beatles, in Liverpool,
again,
and in the whole Beatles industry. So you know, that is great. That is really, really good.
It's brilliant for that. You know, and it's something. Apple just have this long-term plan for stuff, you can see, and it just keeps the Beatles there in everybody's either listening in their ears or watching on the telly and stuff. It's great, so you can't knock them for that.
No, absolutely not. And you know, people say to me, as they've said to you over the years, you know, either is it not time we stop talking about the Beatles, or what happens when the whole Beatles thing dries up? Well, what I say to them is, look, you know, if you go down to Stratford, everything is Shakespeare. And that was 400 years ago. So, no, it's not going to happen. No,
absolutely. So, yeah, I think that's pretty safe. So, we're okay into our retirement. They still give us something to moan about. And we like a good moan.
Absolutely.
So, no, it's not a moan, it's a interesting discussion.
Interesting discussion about the Sam Mendes biopics. There we go.
So, we still have no clue how they're going to do them.
No.
How they're going to turn out. And they're still planning. All four are going to be released on the same day.
It's going to be a massive publicity thing, isn't it? Whatever. Which is great. But time will tell. Time will tell.
But one of the interesting locations they used, we saw the pictures of it, was the Plaza Cinema.
Oh yeah,
up in Crosby.
In Crosby,
And it's a fabulous place. It still looks such an Art Deco cinema, and they've used that in the film. I think that's going to look so cool. It's a great building.
I saw some images that people are taking where there's an old bus in the shot and things like that, which is great.
Didn't somebody want to say that everything looks lovely? He said, but all the cars look lovely and clean. There's no way the cars are always lovely and clean, unless they would clean them every Sunday in the tradition. But
Brilliant.
We'll let them have that.
You're listening to Liddypod, Beatles banter with Bedford and Beasley.
Dave, talking about things being, you know, perpetuated, there's a new documentary out about Paul McCartney, isn't it? Which I hold my hands up, haven't yet seen. It's on, certainly in the UK, it's on the Amazon platform. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, yeah.
I
watched it a
what do you
couple of
think?
weeks ago. It was a really good documentary. I learned stuff that I didn't know before, which I always enjoy then, so it's something good. I think properly appreciating what a bad place McCartney was in after the Beatles split up. You know, he was saying he's borderline alcoholic. He was obviously depressed, and he was just spending time up on his farm up in the Mullican Tyre. And I think Linda was essential to him maintaining some of his sanity, and then getting back into recording, and particularly looking at Wings. And I think that was essential for him. But it was a really good insight into how McCartney was feeling at the time. And he looked terrible at the time. And he needed another project. And I think the connection with Denny Lane was essential. And that friendship maintained, which is great. And then just seeing them, as we know, right, let's get back to basics. We're just going to turn up with 1 day's notice at like universities and small pubs and clubs and stuff, and just have some fun with it. And obviously they did have a lot of fun with it.
I mean, that must have been incredible when you think about it, because, okay, you know, Wings were a new band, but McCartney was 1/4 of the biggest band in the world. The previous decade had been dominated by the Beatles, and yet here he was, not just 1/4, but, you know, you might argue, you know, Lennon and McCartney, the two leads, rocking up with a new band saying, tomorrow night if you've got a spare slot, we'd like to perform. It's weird, isn't it? It really is weird.
But I think that was so good for them because obviously, those issues with them giving up touring was because they're getting stuck in the middle of a baseball field, miles from anybody else, losing that intimacy that they had. That stuff like with, playing at the Cavern or the Casbah where the crowd's almost on top of you, but knowing who they were and taking requests and the banter. For any band, having that banter with your audience is essential, and they've lost the ability to do that.
Yeah. How I haven't seen it yet, Dave. As I say, how is it done? Is it like a narration, or do they not? What do they use? Captions? How's it done?
It's done a lot with interview, with Paul's memories of going through, but then obviously cutaways to interviewing various people like Denny Lane. There's some archive stuff of Linda as well, and then they go through the band members. What worked, what didn't work. Then how the albums come together and how they were critically received as well. And I just think it's a really good doc, and he's honest with some things that didn't work, the things that did work, albums he thought were going to be really good. And Back to the Egg was one of those that, with having someone like Lawrence Juba as a guitarist on it, but it flopped. It wasn't a massive success, but it still, when we look back, I think it's one of the best. But I can still remember, because the 70s is more my era, because I missed all the Beatles, so I was too young. I'll repeat that. I was too young. And having, for me, Band on the Run and Venus and Mars, I think they're just two absolutely brilliant albums. And as Paul's always done, surround himself with top musicians. And I think he's always needed a collaborator, which is why that relationship with Denny Lane works so well because of his previous success as a songwriter and guitarist and singer.
Well, any documentary where Dave Bedford says, I learnt new things in, has got to be worth watching, without a doubt. It's on my list. I'm going to get there. Because it is a single documentary, at least you can put a night aside and do it, can't you, really?
It's really good, and it's almost like when they wrote Mull Kintyre, there was no great expectations of it in a way. It was just like, that was a nice little Scottish folk song, but we know it just became this huge song. And to me, it's one of my favourite of the Wings songs. It's a simple song in a way, but it's a brilliant song.
It is such a simple song, and to me, it just says Christmas.
Yeah.
It just says Christmas, and I it's not necessarily, it's not a Christmas song in the same sense of snow and reindeer and Father Christmas and all the rest of it, but it just says Christmas to me.
I think that the genius of having the pipe band. And finally, one of the last times I saw Paul in Liverpool, it was at Christmas time, and they did Mull Kintyre.
I wasn't there that night, but I remember they didn't have a pipe band.
They had the pipe band on.
Come on,
Oh man, that was a special moment.
Brilliant.
Because I got my friends over in Toronto. And she's a huge Ringo fan, but a huge Beatles fan. He said, but his timing of doing Mull Kintyre, he tend to get the pipe band all the time over there, and he's never really done it over here. So to be there and to have that with the pipe band, that was an absolute magical.
That was the night they also had snow coming down, didn't they, in the auditorium? It was snowing. That was great.
But Mull Kintyre, what a song! What a song!
So it's called Man on the Run.
Man on the Run.
In the UK, it's on Amazon. And it's a standalone documentary, and it gets 2 thumbs up from Dave Bedford.
Absolutely right. And let us know what you think as well. In the comments,
love to hear from you.
Tell us what you think.
Brilliant.
Anything you think was missed? Anything you could have done better? But no, I think it's a really good documentary.
Right.
Subscribe at liddypod.com and you'll never miss another episode.
Dave, moving swiftly on, one of the things that we've been doing regularly, we're going to make this a regular feature of Liddypod, and each episode is the what if.
The what if.
The what if. So what if, certain things happened? And I think today, let's have a look at Alan Williams, who was... Well, for those people who don't know a lot about Alan Williams, just give people a little sort of biopic of him, if you would.
A biopic with a car in the driveway? Maybe not. Alan, what a character. Someone I met several times, interviewed him numerous times. What an absolute character. And it was nice because the last time I saw him, it was only a few weeks before he died, and said, you do realise, Alan, that if it wasn't for you doing what you did, the Beatles wouldn't have got to Hamburg, they wouldn't have made it. And he said, I hadn't thought of it that way. Thank you. And I'm glad that's virtually the last thing I said to him. And that's the importance. So we're in May 1960. Quarrymen is now finished with as a name. They want to be a rock and roll band. All the other skiffle groups are already rock and roll groups. They're hanging out, John, Paul, George and Stuart in particular, at the Jacaranda, which was the club that Alan Williams owned with his wife Beryl. So they're hanging out, looking for things to do, and there's lots of musicians come and go there. And it's when they had the concert at the Liverpool Stadium, which should have been Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran. And of course Eddie Cochran got killed a few weeks before. So Larry Parnes, who's producing it, speaks to Alan, who's the local promoter. He said, like, Gene Vincent can still do it. And Alan said, I'll get local groups. So the concert goes on. And in the audience are John, Paul, George and Stuart, because they're not a band yet. And they think, hang on, there's Rory Storm, the Hurricanes, with a certain Ringo Starr on drums. Cass and the Casanovas are up there, Joey and the Pacemakers. So the top bands were there, they're not a band yet. So after that they go to Alan, who's, yeah, he's got some experience of promoting. So do something for us, Alan. Now, all Alan knew them as was the layabouts from the art college, who occasionally got to do some odd jobs around the Jacaranda, like painting the ladies' toilets. And he said, well, there's no more toilets to paint. So he said, no, we're a band. Where's your drummer? We haven't got one. And Alan then becomes their first manager. He gets them together. And the element that we've just been doing in the movie Blackbird that we filmed a few weeks back was Alan then introduced them to Lord Woodbine. Between the two of them, Alan Williams and Lord Woodbine are managing the Beatles and are guiding them. And if it wasn't for those two guys, the Beatles would never have gone to Hamburg. Which, of course, is a huge what if. In the book is what if they didn't go to Hamburg. But did you ever meet Alan?
Yes, I met him quite a few times.
Yeah.
Probably in the early days more so when I was guiding. In fact, my favourite Alan Williams story was, this was many years ago. It's got to be in the mid 1980s when the local tourist authority used to organise Beatle weekends.
Yeah.
And it'd be 2 night stays, Friday to Sunday, and they'd organise a night at the Cavern and tours and all sorts of things. And one night we were coming back from the Cavern Club, walking up where all the main bus stops are in Liverpool. For those people who know Liverpool, often referred to as the Gyratory.
I've forgotten that, yeah.
And we're walking back to what is now the Liner Hotel,
yeah,
at the side of Liverpool Lime Street Station. And there was a group, in the weekend, there was a group of young girls. But obviously walking them back, they were all spread out, and I was at the front of the group. We weren't guiding, we were just walking them back to the hotel. And I looked back, and there was Alan Williams in the middle of this group of girls, chatting to them.
There's a surprise.
So a couple of minutes later, these girls come running up to me and says, we couldn't get away from him. He kept telling us he used to be the Beatles manager. So I said, he was. Well, those girls couldn't get back quick enough. But yeah, I think in many ways often misunderstood, Alan Williams, you know. I mean, you know, he sort of, well, the man who gave the Beatles away is the title of the book, isn't it, really? But I think he's very much misunderstood. And I think, you know, as you've just correctly said there, Dave, without Alan Williams, the what if, you know, they hadn't gone to Hamburg.
Yeah.
And that is a massive what if, which is connected to Alan Williams and to Lord Woodbine as well.
Yeah, because that's where they learn to be a band.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that we keep trying to tell people is like, so Alan and Woody helped get them together as a group, get them a drummer, the first drummer, Tommy Moore. And through Alan's promotion with Larry Parnes, they do the audition to back Billy Fury. And again, maybe we could talk about Billy Fury in another Liddypod.
Yeah.
Because you need to know about him. If they get Alan to add them as the Silver Beatles onto the auditions for Billy Fury, from that they get their little tour of Scotland with Johnny Gentle.
Yeah.
And they're really an average, not particularly great group. Now Johnny Gentle says, you know, by the end of those 2 weeks in Scotland, they really progressed. And I think people often write that one off as a disaster. I think they learnt a lot in those 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
One in particular, that they were never going to get paid very much. But that was important for them. And by the time they do go to Hamburg, which again is through Alan, they're still not particularly good.
Yeah.
They get over there
Yeah.
and they think they just got to play music. No, they've got to entertain. They didn't know how to entertain.
Yeah.
So they learned the stagecraft, they learned to be a band together. By the time they're back at the end of 1960, nobody's seen a band like them.
Yeah, and it's that mystery as well, wasn't it? That, you know, direct from Hamburg.
Yeah.
You know, there was that mystery about it as well, wasn't it? You know, this group, because they've been gone. I mean, obviously they went several times to Hamburg, but they've been gone for long periods. So they've been off the local music scene.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been seen around by the other bands that were still playing in Liverpool at the time.
And because they were like Silver Beatles and Beatles going between the two, and mainly just South Liverpool as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of those interesting things with Liverpool, you know, North Liverpool, South Liverpool, two different places completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when they then play at Litherland Town Hall, when they come back, nobody knows who the Beatles are.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point, that, because, you know, I live in South Liverpool, and I've known North Liverpool because I grew up there when I was younger. But even now, you know, in this modern day of you know, connectedness and social media, I probably don't know North Liverpool that well, and probably North Liverpool don't know South Liverpool that well. But, so back in the 50s, early 60s, that would have been exacerbated even more, wouldn't it?
I think I always look at it as two different cities.
Yeah, yeah.
Because back then in particular, and even when I was growing up, here, you know, always been in South Liverpool, I would never have gone to North Liverpool for anything. I would have, if the family were going to Southport or something, we would have driven through it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I wouldn't have gone to North Liverpool.
No.
They had a different accent.
Yeah.
You could always tell North Liverpool accent was a lot stronger than South Liverpool.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they turn up in Litherland, which is quite far north.
It's
North
very,
Liverpool.
well, it's not technically, it's not even Liverpool, is it? It's in Sefton now.
Yeah.
So.
And so when the builders direct from Hamburg, because nobody knew who they were and never heard their name, they just make
these fellas speak good English for Germans, you know. So.
And I've heard Paul telling the story of them saying they thought we were from Germany. And he said, no, we're right, love, no, we're from here.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a huge what if, isn't it? You know, without Alan Williams, what if they'd not gone to Hamburg? The whole thing would have changed, and possibly not even happened, because, you know, they wouldn't have had that sort of experience of the Marktschau in Germany.
Or maybe we talk about Hamburg next time. I think that'd be a good one, because
that'll be a good one.
But yeah, for Alan, those first 3 months, the Beatles were so reliant on Alan and Woody to get anything done, because they had the famous week where they backed Janice the stripper at the strip club. So Alan and Woody have opened this, they're still illegal strip club, the Cabaret Artiste Club. And they say, they had this classy bird from Manchester who wouldn't strip to records, it had to be live music. And so, classy. And so they say to the Beatles, right, okay, you're going to be back in the stripper. No, we're not. We're professional musicians. How many gigs have you got? None. You're back in it. I think Paul's comment was, we took the money just for the indignity of it. Because, of course, that week he played drums, because Tommy Moore had quit after the accident up in Scotland, and John not being the Florence Nightingale of the group, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
And then John was surprised when Tommy quit. So Paul was playing drums, and got this little stage, and very innocent 17-year-old George Harrison, who's only had a couple of girlfriends, had this woman stripping in front of him, making a beeline for him. I mean, it was quite a week. But yeah, again, it was Alan and Woody just giving them experience, and it was Alan. And this, I think, was the key part of the going to Hamburg, was when Derry and the Seniors had given the jobs up to go on a UK tour for Larry Pounds, and Pounds cancels the tour. They go to Alan and say, what are you going to do for us? And he said, first of all, I'm not your manager, but, okay, let me see what I can do. I know, my friend runs the Two Eyes coffee bar in London, I'm going to take you to London. What possesses you to think that? That's the kind of guy Alan was.
Yeah.
So he just went with instinct, drove him down there. puts them on stage for free. And when Alan and Woody have been to Hamburg and met with Bruno Koschmider, who's in the Two Ice Coffee Bar but Bruno Koschmider? I mean, what are the chances?
What are the chances of that? Yeah.
Koschmider says that band's really good. He books Derry and the Seniors to go to Hamburg, and then because of that, when they need another band, he goes straight back to Alan.
Yeah. There's so many dominoes that would not have fallen over. There's so many what ifs without Alan Williams and the decisions he made.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course they dump him.
Yeah.
In '61, which with a shocking thing to do for everything he did for them.
Yeah.
But if you don't have Alan doing that first bit,
you would not have had the second bit, and you know, probably haven't got time to go into it now, but you know, what if they hadn't dumped him?
Yeah.
What if they hadn't gone with Brian Epstein?
Yeah.
You know, would it have been different?
That's a definite one we'll do.
That is definitely one we'll do.
Yeah.
Definitely one we'll do.
But we'll give credit to Alan.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Alan Williams.
He got him started.
Yeah.
And if he hadn't done all those bits in those first few months, including getting them to Hamburg, well,
yeah, absolutely.
That's where they become a band.
Yeah, Hamburg is that massive one, isn't it? It's that massive domino.
Yeah.
That knocks over all the others, you know. So well done, Alan Williams.
Well done, Alan Williams.
Yeah. Dave, we're just about done and dusted. Let's do it all again because we don't eat.
Breakfast.
We don't eat between between Liddypods. It's the only time I get to eat. But if you got any comments, please do leave them in the comments box. And Dave, see you next time.
See you next time. Cheers.
You've been listening to Liddypod, Beatles banter with Bedford and Beasley.